Fighting for survival and joining us from Lahore, Pakistan, former Prime Minister Imran Khan is facing off against the ruling party and military establishment. As we speak, a warrant for your arrest without the possibility of parole has been issued. Mr. Prime Minister, thank you for this time with the Media Line. You have just come from the courts again, and if you can share with us what happened today and what is going on, why are you being charged? And if you can enlighten the audience, there were 170 counts against you. What does this mean?
Well, just to give your audience a background of what's going on, or why have I got 170 cases against me, ranging from terrorism to sedition to corruption, 2 corruption cases out of 170. But mainly they're about criminal cases, and latest one is on murder as well. I'm supposed to have murdered someone. So here is a person who's known in this country for 50 years. No Pakistani has been known for such a long time, because I used to be a sportsman for 20 years and at the time the biggest sportsman. And then I am the biggest philanthropist in this country, who's built the biggest charitable institutions here. So people know me for a long time, and I am the one who collects the highest amount of money every year for charity, because people have trusted me. So suddenly at 70, no criminal case, and then just in the last few months, I have 170 cases. So people don't take seriously. People don't believe this. But why is this happening? Because the military establishment, or the army chief to be precise, because military establishment means one man, the army chief. So he conspired to remove me. This was in April last year. But what happened after that is unique in Pakistan. I was removed on the 9th of April. 10th of April, for the first time in our history, hundreds and thousands of people came out in the street protesting protesting against this. So that took the military establishment or the army chief by surprise. And then they thought that, this is just a bubble. They started victimizing my party, thinking that, once the establishment is against a party, normally, no one stands up against the military establishment or the army chief. But what happened subsequently is that out of 37 by-elections, despite the military establishment supporting these 12-party coalition, we won 30 out of 37 by-elections. So again, unprecedented. Then was this assassination attempt, because they thought, if they couldn't remove me through politics, then to do the final solution. And so once I was lucky to survive that. And then there was another assassination attempt on me on the 18th of March. Unfortunately, I was lucky to survive that too. Now, the situation is that they were so desperate that since the party, whatever they do, the party keeps growing in popularity, and it is arguably the most popular party in our history right now. Our rating is north of 70% in this country. And so now the game plan is that, using the pretext of 9th May, when they abducted me, when the army abducted me from the precincts of the High Court, like some terrorists, they used that reaction as a pretext to completely dismantle the party. So 10,000 of our workers in 48 hours were put in jail. So clearly it was pre-planned. Otherwise, you can't just pick up 10,000 people. Obviously, they had planned it before. So the reaction to the way I was abducted, they used that reaction to put 10,000 workers in jail, my entire senior leadership in jail. The only way they can come out, the senior leadership, if they renounce the party, they say, we are leaving the party, then all is forgiven. So all criminal cases are dropped the moment they say, I'm leaving the party. And the rest of my party is in hiding right now. So I'm basically, the only one outside because the Supreme Court uh, made it illegal, unlawful, my abduction. So I'm still outside. But I don't expect to be outside for long. I think they will, it's a matter of time before they jail me. That's the only way they feel that they can stop us from winning the next elections.
So, Chairman, if you have so many of your people that are following you and supporters that are either being put down or suppressed in some form, what's the next strategy and what would happen with the elections that are supposed to be in October?
The problem establishment does not understand, and I again repeat, the current army chief is the establishment. He doesn't understand one point, that once people make up their minds that they are going to back a certain party, as you say, no army or force can stop an idea whose time has come. So once people believe and they stand behind a political party, you cannot then wish it away by these draconian measures, by this extreme victimization, by jailing the workers and leadership. Because whenever there are elections, and I can predict right now, because it has happened in the past. In 1970, the establishment tried to ban the biggest party, and it swept the whole of the elections was swept by that party, despite the establishment trying to stop it. It's the same situation. No matter what they do, the moment the election campaign starts, they will not be able to stop PTI, my party, from winning the elections.
Even if you're sitting in prison?
Even if I'm disqualified or I'm sitting in prison, they cannot stop a vote bank. The vote bank of the party keeps increasing. So after 9th of May crackdown, the worst crackdown in our history, by the way. I mean, crackdown means that not just that they have abducted and put people in jail, custodial torture, a lot of them have suffered custodial torture, stuck in this, it's the hottest time in this country. And people have suffered illnesses because they've been stuck in these cramped cells. And despite all that, the party is not breaking. I mean, some of the leaders have left under pressure, but the workers and the vote bank keeps increasing. And the other thing is that the judiciary today, they have tried to completely, make the judiciary impotent. I mean, they don't listen to the verdicts of a Supreme Court. The Supreme Court ordered election in the biggest province on 14th of May. They refused, the government refused. Our workers go out for bail, the police picks them up in another case. They've completely muzzled the media. Never has the media is not allowed to utter one word about me. I mean, it's never happened here before. Even in martial laws, media was not muzzled like that can't even utter a word about me. And one of our best investigative journalists has been abducted. For months, he's disappeared. 4 of our top journalists have left the country because of these draconian measures. So despite all that, which are these desperate measures only to keep me out, it's not working because the public is supporting the party and the support is growing even more.
You're talking about, Mr. Khan, growing support for your party, but let's focus a little bit about the unheard of number of charges that you're faced with. And if those charges, some say likely that you have to serve some time in jail, and this would be a long time, unfortunately for you. What does it say about the political system in Pakistan, and what's your feeling on the general view of what's happening to you?
Our 75-year history in Pakistan, roughly half the time we've been ruled by military dictators, and the other half time by these two families, who we really call mafias because they've degenerated into mafias, and they have, massive criminal corruption cases against them. I mean, one of the Sharif family was caught in what were the Panama Papers disclosures when this was an international disclosure about properties and offshore accounts by heads of states and ministers. And so these two families have basically now, first they used to fight each other, but they've colluded with each other. They are now together against me. So since I came in, they have all got together, and now they are backed by the military establishment. So between the two families and the military, Pakistan has been really ruled for the past 65 years. Now I am an outsider. So since I have come in, I now face this combined opposition. Now, the answer to your question. Now, the question is about all these cases and, how they want to imprison me. What do you think? How do you think I will cope with it? I'm fighting in all the court cases. Normally what has happened is one of the two families, when they're outside power, they all leave the country. They go outside. So I decided I would stay and fight all my cases. In fact, I have asked them that they should televise all my cases, that all my cases should be televised so people should know the charges against me, because some of them are so ridiculous that, they will be exposed as what is going on. How can you have 170 cases against one man in just a few months? So, as I said, cases range from blasphemy, sedition, and so on. So all I want is my cases should be heard publicly. They should be, like in the US, like your famous O.J. Simpson case, which was watched by everyone. We want cases like that to be, in public. So let the people know these cases against me.
One place we're not hearing from, or one side, is the international community. Normally, when there is a military coup or a democratically elected leader is removed or deposed by the military, we hear criticism and strong statements from Washington, from London, and elsewhere. World reaction to what's happening to you and in Pakistan has been somewhat mute. We haven't heard a whole lot. And, what's happening to that? Interestingly enough, hasn't been a whole lot of statements in your support. Why do you think that's the case? And would you like to see a British Prime Minister or even President Joe Biden come out in support of you?
The tragedy is that Pakistan's democracy was evolving. In the past 20 years, we made strides in our democratic system. What happened was that the media started asserting its independence. We had electronic media coming in. Normally, there used to be only one government-controlled channel. So in 20 years, we have about 40 TV channels now. And we had media competing with each other, and sort of a vibrant media, which is one of the pillars of democracy. And the second is that from last 16 years, a judiciary before that used to be part of the executive. So it never protected the fundamental rights of the people, because they went along with whatever the executive was doing. So 16, 17 years back, our judiciary started asserting its independence. And there was a lawyers' movement for the independence of judiciary, which I participated. I also went to jail in that movement. But since then, the judiciary also came out as a defender of democracy and our fundamental rights. All that now is being rolled back. Not just that the judiciary is now controlled, or they're trying to control it, because they have now announced, the government has announced military courts to try civilians like me. That's the end of your democracy. In which democracy do you have military courts trying civilians? That case is going on in the Supreme Court right now. And the government ministers are saying that if the Supreme Court decides against military courts, they won't obey the orders of the Supreme Court. So this is the situation right now. The judiciary is muzzled. They're trying to hamstring it. Media is totally muzzled. I repeat, my name is not allowed to be mentioned on it. Completely controlled. So it is a huge setback to our democracy. Now, what is surprising is that the Western leaders who talk about democracy, fundamental rights, human rights, against